I'm Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I am working on the very last block in the sampler that I've been working on, and this block I don't have put together yet, so I wanted to show you how I'm going to do that. This block is a 5440 or Fight, and I've cut the fabrics into pieces that I'm going to need to piece this block. This also came with a paper piecing template for 4 of the sections of this block, which is one of the reasons why I left this block to last, because I'm not particularly fond of paper piecing. I can do it and I see the benefits of it, but it isn't my favorite way to piece a block. It needs 4 of these sections, and the pattern came with 2. So what I did was take a piece of paper from my computer printer and just laid it on top and traced it. So now I have 4 of these sections. So I'm going to get this part out of the way first, just because it's my least favorite. So if I get it out of the way, I'm not going to keep procrastinating. Okay, I'm going to start with my paper piecing sections, and we're going to start with the off-white piece and then a red rectangle. Okay, we're going to be stitching on this side, so I have to make sure that everything is lined up on the other side, and I'm going to stick a pin in here to hold my centerpiece in place, right there. Straighten this up a little bit. I don't believe it's as important to have everything straight of grain with paper piecing, but I try to keep it that way as much as I can. And then this piece, I'm going to line up by looking where the piece is sticking out here. I need at least 1/4 inch, if not a little bit more. And then I want to test it by folding it along that to see if it will cover, because I don't want it to come out with there being no fabric over here or over on this side. Looks like we've got it pretty well in place. And then we're going to stitch on the paper side, and I have the machine placed, set up so that I have 15 stitches per inch. And let's see how this works. I do have a piecing foot on here, but it isn't needed for this. All the way to the end. And put threads. And we'll see how this worked. You have to make sure you have both right sides of your fabric out. So that worked. I'll try the next piece. And I'm going to do the same thing. Right sides together with the fabric. And line them up. And here we go, and this is what that piece looks like. So then I will take it to the iron and I will press it, and then I will turn it over, and then I will trim it 1/4 inch around the dark black line on the outside. 3 more of these to go. Okay, my next job is to sew these strips together and then subcut them into 2.5-inch squares, or 2.5 by 4.5 inch pieces that will make 2.5-inch squares. So we're just going to put these right sides together and sew a line, 1/4 inch seam line, right down the edge here. Okay, here we go. Do the next set. I have 2 sets of these, and then I'll press them and then cut them into sections. Okay, I have all my pieces pressed. I have all these sections here that I'm going to make into 4 patches. And I have these sections here. They're all cut out. Still have the paper on them, so I'll have to remove this paper. And if you've never paper pieced before, one of the tricks is to use a short stitch length on your paper, and then it should tear out easier. Which is one of the things about paper piecing that I did not like when I first started, was that the paper would not tear away completely. But 15 stitches per inch, and this works. So if you're using like 10 stitches per inch, you may be fighting your paper. So you'll want to shorten your stitch length. And there's specialty papers that you can buy for paper piecing. Some are like tissue consistency that are easy to tear. But if you're like me and all you have at the time is your printer paper, that will work. Just shorten your stitch length, and you can see there's no, which way to go. There are no paper pieces that are stuck in there, so that helps a lot. So finished block, and it's ready to go. If you want to, you can trim your seam allowance. This seam allowance is probably closer to 3/8 than 1/4 inch. So I could go back and trim that a little bit, but I think it's good enough for what I'm doing, so I'm gonna leave it on this piece. I'll check the other pieces, and if that seam allowance is too big, then I'll trim it down. So the next thing I'm going to do, though, is to make my 4 patches. And that's basically taking 2 pieces, 2 of these sections, and flipping them. And if you've done piecing, you know how to do this. You can do this in your sleep, I'm sure. So I'll just make 4 sets of these, and we'll be ready to go to put the block together. And I'm just going to string piece these together and then cut them apart when I get them all sewn. Okay, and here's one of the 4-piece units, 4-patch units right here. And then I'll press these and we'll start putting the block together. I was getting ready to press this piece, and one thing I neglected to do was to trim this cream colored fabric away. So what I'm going to do is go to my cutting table and I will trim this off because I don't need that extra bulk, because this red fabric will cover that, but I don't want this extra bulk in the quilt or in the block. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this seam down to 1/4 inch, and I'll do that on all of these. So I just have to simply just fold the red section back and then trim 1/4 inch from this seam. So we'll be trimming this off, and any extra on this seam here. Okay, I have all of my patches laid out. This is how my 4 patches turned out. And this pattern made 3 extra, so there was plenty of fabric left over. So I'm going to go ahead and sew my rows together, and we'll see how this turns out. One thing I like about these vintage machines, they are relatively quiet compared to the modern machines. They don't have all the bells and whistles like needle positioner and automatic reverse. You know, for this one I have to push up this lever if I want to go to reverse. So that's different than a using a just pushing a button, but it does have its advantages. There are advantages to modern machines as well as the vintage ones. So. Okay, row 1 is done. Okay, I have my rows together. There's one outer row, this is the middle, and the other outer row. So I'll put these together. Okay, I have the finished block. Here we go. This is 5440 or Fight. This is an old block. This is from 1930s, I believe. Maybe older. So there we go. It's all done. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my newest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.